Let's go to the main event of the entire Tampa Bay Downs meeting. It's the Tampa Bay Derby. 3-year-olds, a mile and a 16th on the main track. This was the field. You had 9 3-year-olds signed on. They were all going to need to beat Flame Away. They were all going to need to beat Vino Rosso. Neither of them ultimately went off favored. They both came out of that Sam F. Davis. The favorite with all the late money, bet down to 8-5, was World of Trouble. Stretching out from a nice, impressive win in the Pasco, trying 2 turns for the first time. Guess what? None of them got the job done. Richard Grunder with the call.
Swings wide for the drive as they straighten away for home. World of Trouble and Quip on the outside. They're locked in battle. Flame Away racing erratically down to the wire. World of Trouble along the rail and Quip on the outside. They're still heads apart. Quip is now going the better of the two, and Flame Away flying on late, getting up for second.
Quip, Florent Giroux, Rodolphe Brissett get the job done in the Tampa Bay Derby. Pay $40.20 on top. The number 5 Flame Away for Mark Cassie, $6.80 to place, and the number 8 World of Trouble on that stretch out in distance, $2.80 to show. The $1 exacta comes back $1.51. The 50-cent try comes back $227.60, and the 10-cent superfecta 10, 5, 8, and 3 comes back $125.50. This is an interesting horse right here because I don't know what you want to do with Quip. It kind of came out of nowhere, but he is owned by Windstar Farm LLC, China Horse Club International Limited, and SF Racing LLC, again trained by Rodolphe Brissett. You look at the breeders, Windstar Farm LLC out of Kentucky, ridden to victory by Florent Giroux. In the pedigree, he's by Distorted Humor out of an Indian Charlie mare named Princess Ash. I think this is a nice, talented horse. Again, I sound like a broken record at this point. He's earned $282,000 in career earnings. He's 3 of 4. I don't know where this one came from, simply because his most recent run came as a 2-year-old back in the Kentucky Jockey Club, which I understand a lot of people now are looking at it saying it continues to be a productive race. Productive and good to me are two different things. Productive, sure, you can win races with some middling or lesser numbers. For what it's worth, Quip, 94 Beyer, 115 Timeform US rating. The internal fractions, the half and 3/4, both color-coded blue, favoring horses on or near the early lead. I don't know what to make of the Kentucky Jockey Club. The good news is pretty quick. It's not really going to matter because we continue to have more of these preps that we deal with right now. I think Quip is a nice horse. The way that he ran on Saturday, I like that he's got that beautiful stalking gear. He ran through the wire. He galloped out really strong. I thought all in all, this was a really, really nice effort. Again, it just seems like it was a little bit of, I didn't anticipate this. If this is what he is, sure, he's very interesting. Tactical speed goes a long way. It sounds like everything is positive, that he's moving on in the right direction. They've got a couple options with him, it sounds like, but you've got the Wood Memorial, you've got the Bluegrass, you've got Arkansas Derby. You've got a number of possibilities for this horse. He came home in 30 and 4. I wouldn't have faulted him for getting tired off of that long layoff, but instead I felt like he just kind of continued on and got stronger and stronger. He never really looked like a loser. He was really impressive. Flame Away, I thought he ran very well, all things considered. He got body slammed out of the gate early on by World of Trouble to the outside, and I think that kind of took him a little bit out of his game. He was hung wide on the first turn, going down the backside, and even in the far turn, Jose Lezcano needed to get into him and ask for a lot. The interesting thing was turning for home and coming down the lane, he got a little floaty on him. I don't think it made a difference. He was beaten by a length, but at the same time, I like that he has some tenacity and he wants to keep going on and he wants to run and he wants to beat you. The 92 Beyer, okay, not lighting the world on fire, going to need to improve if you're thinking of a Derby kind of horse. 114 Timeform US rating, going to need to certainly improve, but I like that he wants to fight you and I like that he wants to go on with it. I still don't know what his game is. Is he a turf horse? Is he a dirt horse? Is he a synthetic horse? I don't know. We'll find out as time goes on, but what he is a nice horse. He's a quality horse. He's in good hands with Mark Cassie. I think Flame Away is very talented. I think he was pretty clearly the second best horse on Saturday behind Quip, but again, no knock with this horse. He just shows up and runs his race. World of Trouble, a really nice effort, first time going 2 turns. But if we're just going to kind of look at this and look at it for what it is, he had a lot of things go his way. There wasn't a ton of pace signed on when Flame Away got impeded as badly as he did by World of Trouble out of the start. You saw those fractions, and again, you see 24-2, 49-2. I mean, he had pretty much everything go his way. If he couldn't win a race like this, I have a hard time believing as distances get longer, he's going to necessarily improve. If I were part of the connections, I would turn him back in distance. Even right now, I know he didn't run poorly. He's only beaten by a length and a neck. I would turn him back right now. I wouldn't go 2 turns with him anymore. I think you've got enough opportunities where you can run in, I don't know, a race like the Bayshore and get ready for a race like the Pat Day Mile. I think a mile is within his scope 1 turn, but it'll be interesting to see ultimately where he goes. Major disappointments in the race. Vino Rosso, 'tis mischief. Vino Rosso more so, though, because this was a horse. I picked him. I liked him. My concern going in, I mentioned it when we talked about it out of the gate. I mentioned it when we talked about this race down at Tampa Bay Downs on Saturday morning when we did the preview and the little seminar. Historically, a really, really negative move for Todd Pletcher the past 5 years. First time blinkers in a graded stakes race. He's now 1 for 18. This is not a good thing for Pletcher. And even me sitting there saying this horse runs like a horse that needs blinkers, and I was hopeful that it was going to make the difference, it didn't. And you know what? At a certain point, I know there are a lot of folks that want to say, oh, you know, numbers, you can twist them however you want them. I realize that. You can make statistics make your argument for you. But at the same time, it's hard to argue with a number like that. 1 for 18 for a guy that usually clips off about 28%. You can't tell me that there's not something there, and it shouldn't be taken as a red flag. That's not a positive thing. I thought this was a decided step backward for Vino Rosso, but it sounds like Todd has even mentioned, he goes, we may give him one more shot. I think, again, what I kind of said with the San Felipe, if you have a 3-year-old at this point right now, with the exception of the way that the form of the San Felipe kind of held up, and we'll talk about the Gotham here momentarily, with a result here like Quip, as good as he looked, kind of out of left field. With the result that we had in the LeCompte a few weeks back with Bravazzo and Snapper Sinclair, a little bit out of left field. Unfortunately, we had the passing of Smarty Jones winner Mourinho earlier this week. He broke down in a workout and he had to be euthanized. That's terrible. Feel bad for everybody involved. But now he's taken out of the picture. You know, there are a number of instances. You saw what happened in the Fountain of Youth last weekend with promises fulfilled at 19-1. If I've got a 3-year-old that looks like he's got any ability at all, I'm doing what the connections of Untamed Domain did on Saturday. I want to find out if he can run on dirt. If he can't, great. We'll go back to the turf. Where Untamed Domain, I'm sure, is going to be very, very good, very, very capable. He's talented and he's in great hands with Graham Motion. I would be throwing everything, trying to get into any one of these races for points, because it just feels like right now that's just that kind of year where it feels like it's a new face every week. And you know what? If you have a horse or you like a horse that lost early on the trail but is still going on, don't lose the faith, because that's just the way that these races have gone. It's chaos on top of chaos on top of chaos. Long story short, to button this race up, the Tampa Bay Derby, I think Quip is fascinating going forward simply because I don't know where this race came from, but he very clearly took that step forward from 2 to 3. Is the fig accurate? Is it too high? Is it too low? Is it just right? We'll find out in time. I think we'll also find out a lot more in the next start when you get him really cranked up against possibly some other talented runners, whether it's in Kentucky or New York or Arkansas or wherever it may be. I think Quip is interesting. 94 buyer winning the Tampa Bay Derby.